pharma lobbyists, right? Just big pharma. There are about 1,200 big pharma lobbyists. So it's about 2.5 to 1 for every member of Congress. I'm sure you know people who want to get some drug, prescription drugs I'm talking about, and it's too much money, right? And they skip it. Do you know folks?
Oh, yeah, totally I do.
So Donald Trump, one of the good things he does is he puts out an executive order, and he says Americans shouldn't pay more for any of these prescription drugs than people in other parts of the world.
Right.
You know, I've had people who like go to a foreign country to get the drug because they don't want to pay them. They can't afford to pay the drugs here.
Yeah. One night I'm hanging out with the girl, and we've been on a couple dates. I thought we were gonna maybe smooch a little. It's 11 p.m. She's like, I have to go drive to Mexico.
Are you serious?
Get Ozempic. I'm not even joking. She's like, I have to drive to Mexico to get Ozempic. And she's like, if I leave now, the hours are best for driving there and back. And I was like, oh, God.
So the way to her heart was like getting her this drug. Huh?
I'm not riding with her, but I gave her a little bit of gas money, because I hope to see her again. But anyway.
It's crazy, right? I mean, we're paying for all these drugs to be developed. You and I pay the NIH to develop all these drugs. Then the big pharma sells them at a profit to Americans. And basically, the rest of the world gets these drugs at a fraction of the cost.
Right. So we're subsidizing their cost over there.
We're subsidizing their cost. Now, someone could say, okay, Mexico or some of these developing countries, fine, they should have these drugs cheaper. But we're subsidizing Great Britain. We're subsidizing Japan. We're subsidizing Europe. These are rich countries.
Yeah.
We're subsidizing Switzerland. So Donald Trump, one thing that I agree with, he comes out and he says Americans shouldn't pay a higher price than any other industrialized country.
Yeah. I'm
the first congressperson actually to introduce his executive order as a law. I said, okay, because the executive order, the pharma just will sue it and tie it up in court and nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, because he had another one with price transparency, right?
Exactly.
Where it was like all the prices of if you go get an MRI, whatever it is, it needs to be like a menu. Like you go to McDonald's, you know how much it costs.
Right.
Because without a menu, they can just charge you later whatever they want, right? Which is part of the whole bait and switch of the insurance system. It's part of the whole shell game. That was another executive order, but that hasn't been enacted. Like, how do we get these things to actually happen? Like, why do they stop it at executive order? Because there's always this pomp and circumstance.
Right.
Like, it's an executive order, but it never gets followed through.
Because it gets tied up in courts and they get sued and they say, well, Congress didn't authorize it. So I actually give Trump some credit for putting it out there, but he knows, everyone knows, it can't actually make a difference until it becomes a law.
And who sues it? The pharma companies?
The pharma companies sue it. They've got a whole industry of lawyers, of lobbyists, and they come out and they sue them. And by the way, they're making record profits. And they say, oh, we need this money to do research and innovation. Give me a break. They have those profits. They're buying back their stock. They're giving out dividends. Their executives are making tons of money.
Oh, yeah. They're buying freaking Corvettes, dude. They're doing that. But they are. They're all probably all have Corvettes. And they don't care. That's the thing. They don't care. But how do we stop that system, right? First of all, do you believe that system can actually be stopped?
I do. And I do, and I'll give you two examples why. Because we did it with big tobacco. You remember that when tobacco basically had Washington, D.C. bought. And then there was a campaign that said, free kids from tobacco. And
Bring that up. I want to see a picture of that. Some kid with a smoke if they let them. They used to,
there it is. Yeah,
The Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, an American nonprofit membership organization established in 1995 with Bill Novelli as its first president. Okay, so that happened in 1995, and that had an effect?
It was them. It was grassroots organizing. There was a hearing in front of Congress. They brought in all these tobacco executives, and basically the tobacco executives were seen lying to the American public, saying, yeah, we know that this stuff is addictive. And that had a huge impact. There was laws that got passed that said you can't sell tobacco cigarettes to kids. You have to disclose the addictive quality. So we stood up to big tobacco. We also did it one other time in this country famously. I don't know if you know what DDT is.
DDT, yeah, definitely. It's in the yard, brother.
Yeah,
That's what they say. It's in the grass, right?
It's the fertilizers.
Yeah.
And there was this woman, Rachel Carson. She exposed that it was hurting your health. It was hurting the birds. It was hurting the ecosystem. And that led to Congress saying, no, we're going to ban DDT for a lot of different uses. We got to do the same thing in standing up with pharma. How much money does pharma spend? $380 million a year.
In lobbying?
In lobbying.
Or in commercials, you mean?
Just in lobbying.
Now, does lobbying include commercials? That means paying to congressmen and reps.
That's paying to congresspeople and reps. That's like money that is going to congressmen, to representatives, to state legislators. So I introduced this bill, right, saying, okay, let's do what Donald Trump wants. Let's do what Bernie Sanders wants. Like, how can we disagree on this? Let's take it to pharma so Americans don't pay more. I get two Republicans who co-sponsor it, Representative Luna and Representative Biggs.
Bring them up. Bring up Luna and Biggs. First of all, and if that's not a animated series, I don't even know. It sounds also like it could be a rap group, Luna and Biggs. We got to shot him. So that's Andy Biggs. He's a legitimate guy.
He's a legitimate guy. I mean, look, disagree on things, but like he's willing to stand up for what he believes. Representative Luna, she's willing to stand up.
Oh, dude, I was just looking at her online yesterday. I like her. I mean, she has I like what she says. You know what I'm saying? I like her energy.
She has an independence. And I got a few of the Democrats to be on board with this. Obviously, they don't want Americans being overcharged for prescription drugs. I mean, this was part of Bernie's whole campaign.
And now people are there also people telling you that they got on board, or did it come down to a vote? How did it end up?
So right now we don't have a vote. We should have every single person in Congress co-sponsoring this. The way Congress works is you got to get it to about 100 people to co-sponsor it, and then the speaker calls up a vote on the issue. But because you got big pharma's lobbying money, they're so cynical. They don't try to convince people to vote against it. They try to stop the the speaker from bringing it for a vote.
So they would invest in Mike Johnson?
They'll invest not just in Mike Johnson, they'll invest
is that libel or slander for saying that?
No, I mean, it's just...
They would try to lobby Mike Johnson.
They'll try to lobby Mike Johnson. But there's this quote that I love from Dr. King. He said, attack the evil system, not the individuals who happen to be caught up in the evil system.
Okay,
right?
got it.
So, there's some egregious cases. The problem is the system is rotten.
Okay.
And they are pouring money into different campaigns, into different lobbyists, and basically are not going to allow a vote on this because they know if there's a vote and someone votes against Donald Trump and against lowering prescription drugs, the American people will be furious.
Are going to know who they are.
Are going to know they are.
Right, and then we can call them out by name.
And so they just don't want anyone to do it. And this is the game. This is why we don't get Medicare for all, why we don't have health insurance. Health insurance is not that we haven't had a vote on Medicare for all. This is why we still have fossil fuel subsidies. We haven't had a vote to get rid of fossil fuel subsidies. This is why we still have a defense budget that is over $1 trillion. We don't get votes on cutting out the excessive contracts. I mean, the game is to stop the vote. But the second thing is we've got to demand that people have a vote on getting lower prescription drug prices.
Who do we ask that for? From Mike Johnson?
Mike Johnson.
Okay.
We got to say
he's from Louisiana.
He's from Louisiana, and
So I'll say it right now, Mike Johnson. Why don't you put the vote up? I mean, everybody wants this. Everybody is tired of watching people. Medical debt's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. We know that. It's bipartisan, right? It means both partisans like it.
Yeah. I mean, it's Trump's bill. I mean, Trump's executive bill.
Just help us, dude. Give us something. You know what I'm saying?
Two things he could do a vote on. One is stopping the war in Iran. I mean, Massey in my bill, he has to give us a vote on it unless he plays games. And then two, let's just focus on big pharma, getting big pharma.
Yeah, let's start with one lobby. Let's start with one big lobby. I think it's just it's like, give us something, man. I was like, because you know what I'm saying? He's from Louisiana. So like that, Louisiana is a state where it's mostly about like people, right? Peer to peer. It's like the state doesn't have a lot of, I don't think we have one top, we don't have one Fortune 500 company, I don't think, in the whole state. Maybe Entergy, but I think that they
Wow.
left. So we're a low-income state. But the one thing that we do have is each other's backs, right? And I just can't imagine that Mr. Johnson wouldn't bring this to the floor. To the floor, is that it?
To the floor, yeah.
Bring it to the floor, Mike. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, if people are sick, people are sick, man. People are dying. You don't want to bring it to the floor? I think that's fucking bullshit. Now, if you are bringing it to the floor and Roe's not telling me the truth, then I'm sorry, Mike, right? I'm sorry, dude.
And I got a good relationship with Mike Johnson.
Mike's awesome.
But someone has just got to say,
He's
okay,
a cool guy.
I'm done
But he's
with
got
it.
keys to the janitor's closet, and it's time to fucking get the broom out and sweep this shit out from under the rug. That's what I feel like.